Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. I am your host, Andrew, and we have Jason and Joe joining us. We also have a special guest for tonight. Big Jim is joining us from the Huddle Up podcast, which is going to be coming on tomorrow night. Although not live right now, Jim.
Yeah, no, we're still kind of in our off-season program, so we're going to look to get some episodes in the can for to get us through the rest of July, and then into August, and then sometime probably about mid to late August, we'll fire it back up for the upcoming season.
Yeah, enjoy the break from football while it lasts, because it seems like that break gets shorter and shorter and shorter every year.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Especially when you focus on college and pros, because you have to deal with all the recruiting crap too.
Yeah, for sure.
Jason, Joe, how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there. It's a rough end of the week as far as the Phils are concerned, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but hanging in.
Hey, you do what you can do, right?
Yeah, I mean, we took a series from the Cardinals, so I can't, I got to take my wins where I can get them, and we're third worst in the National League, not worst yet. So
that was a really surprising series, man. When we did pick them last week, I know for a fact I did not pick the Cubs to do very well in that series, so that was a pleasant surprise to see them do so well. All right, so Jim, what are you drinking tonight, bud?
I tonight am going with the Iron Hill, the Philly favorite IPA.
Switching it up a little bit, all right.
A little bit. I do have some of the Broken Skulls in my fridge, but decided to break something out different.
Nothing wrong with that. What do you got tonight, Jason?
So tonight I'm going with the Victory Brewing Company Sour Monkey. Had a good victory with a series over the weekend, but I'm still very sour about the result of Harper being out for quite some time. So Sour Monkey just seems to be the right choice for tonight.
And it's delicious too. Nothing wrong with that. Joe, what about you?
Rocking the Jack and Mountain Dew tonight. I gotta take my victories where I can get them, and the beer hasn't been lucky for me, so.
I'm not sure Jack Daniels has ever been lucky for anybody, but hey, what do I know?
No.
And for me tonight, from New Trail Brewing Company, one of my a brewing company I've become rapidly immersed with. One of my wife's family friends, her husband, I believe, sells for New Trail now, and this is one he recommended, the Blackberry Lemonade. Jason, this is one you should definitely pick up and try. A little bit sour, a little bit sweet. It very, very, very smooth going down. All right, so Jim, we went over our All-Star ballots last week. Is there anybody you're feeling particularly strong that you think should be on the ballot for this year? Or I gave you the blank template, but if you don't feel like going the whole way through it, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking over it. I think the fan voting is doing a pretty good job across the board. There's nothing to me that was like glaringly different, or anybody that I necessarily would have thrown in that the like the fan voting isn't at or near the top. And I think you guys are pretty solid across the board with what you guys put down last week.
Awesome. Who did you think from the Orioles who do you think is going to sneak in from, because everybody's going to get a rep. So who's your pick for the Orioles?
Really, if I'm looking at it, I think Hayes has come on strong as of late. And it's tough because obviously you're a team that isn't like, there's no stars on the team. I think Mullins would have a shot as well. But to me, my pick would probably be Hayes.
Yeah, good pick. I think Hayes got a lot of support from all of us last week, as if he's not a starter, he should definitely be one of the bench guys and probably be one of the first substitutions in. All right, so moving on. Sorry, I had the wrong sheet of my page pulled up. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Professional podcasters, right? So, Joe, you wanted to touch on that pretty intense brawl we had over the weekend between the Angels and the Mariners. This, normally baseball brawls, just a little bit of pushing and shoving, people shout a couple things, but we had some legit punches thrown this time. You want to break that down for us?
Sure. Yeah. I think what's important with this one is 9 days prior to this series, Upton was hit by the Angels when they played them the week before. Pretty obvious, what wasn't like they were trying to avoid it. But Upton got hit pretty high in 9 days prior to this series. Saturday night, Eric Swanson throws his 95-mile-an-hour fastball at or near Trout's head. And that was the second pitch in that at bat. So the pitch before that was high and tight, and the second one was higher and tighter. That was pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. I said this before when the Cubs played the Brewers earlier in the year. If you can't hit them on the first one, you don't get a second shot at it. And don't, for the love of God, don't aim at somebody's head. This is ridiculous. Swanson tried to defend himself and say that, you're trying to attack his weakest quadrant at the plate, which is, I guess, that up and in spot for him. But, yeah, I have a hard time believing that that's all you're doing. And there's not a whole lot of sense that makes putting him on when you're only up 2, and that brings Ohtani to the plate.
Yeah, and it's not like Mike Trout really has a weak spot to pitch to either.
Not that I've ever seen anyway.
Right. So if your idea there is you're putting him on the base, just intentionally walk him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're not intending to pitch to him, intentionally walk the guy and just move on and try and pitch away from him.
Yeah, and they did walk him, like they just put him on after that pitch, which I think you didn't have a choice at that point, because if you try again, you're just an ass at that point. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, you get, like I said this before earlier in the year, you get one shot at it. If you miss the first time, don't go again.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna hit somebody, ribs, thigh, somewhere where it's not nearly as life critical. That was, good on Trout to get out of the way of that. That was super tight. So then and then the Angels or the Mariners win this game and were a little over the top in their celebration after the game. The Angels didn't take too kindly to that, as you can imagine. Nevin was really, really fired up from the dugout, sharing a lot of colorful words in Service's direction, which I guess I don't blame him for. So then on Sunday, the Angels go with an opener, and I don't think they've done this often. It was the guy's first career start. He's made 32 relief appearances. Okay, something's clearly up if you're going to do that.
Fine.
Yeah. So the first inning, Andrew Wantz throws this pitch behind Julio Rodriguez. Again, good on him getting out of the way of this, but clearly there was intent involved there.
There was intent involved before the game even started by throwing out an opener.
Yeah, you know what this reminded me of? Think back to was it 2012 when the Penguins and the Flyers just had that series of games where it was nonstop brawls all the way up until the Stanley Cup playoffs. It feels like that game. I think it was around February where Laviolette literally said, "Fuck this," sent his fourth line out there, knowing full well he was about to start a 5-man line brawl. That's exactly what it feels like when you throw an opener, full well knowing that he's going to get ejected and shit's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, for Cubs, this would be like, last year starting Zach Davies when it's Kyle Hendricks' day to pitch. That's the best thing I could think of from a Cubs standpoint. That's the equivalent here. So Wance throws.
It could be bringing Carlos Zambrano out of retirement.
Hey, why not? Yeah, so he throws behind Rodriguez, and it's clearly intentional. And there's warnings immediately issues after this. He ends up getting Rodriguez out and getting out of the inning, and comes back out for the second. And first pitch, second inning, Jesse Winker gets socked right in the side of the hip, and it's like, really, we're gonna do this? We're gonna keep doing this? Like, and Upton's in the dugout, like, you guys started this. What the hell are we doing? Winker, is chirping and gesturing toward the dugout, makes his way toward the dugout. Bunch of punches thrown. This was like, a good hockey style fight. This was quite impressive. Ryan Tepera, I think, went over the top and hit Winker in the back, and then like 10 seconds later, Winker is on top of him, and it's like, okay, just have at it.
I was waiting for the safety netting to be torn down from this, because you can see in the video they are up against the pole on the bottom that's holding the netting there, and you just see it flexing. I'm like, I was just waiting for that to snap and the netting come down and everything. And a video was released on Twitter later today. Somebody took a video from right behind that netting in the first row, and I really am surprised that netting held.
Yeah, I can't think of any kind of engineering specifications that would have taken that into account. I mean, that's just freaking insane. Is that something they can quickly fix, or do they jury rig, or I don't even know. I mean, we've gotten so used to that netting just being an automatic part of things there. That's crazy.
Yeah, that would certainly take some.
Are you hot by your cable service?
That was me. I'm just pulling up the video of the brawl.
Yeah. Anthony Rendon, as you noted in the notes, Andrew, threw a left hand at Winker's face because his right hand's in a cast. I mean, if you're going all out at this point, this reminded me of Cole Haley when we were in high school, who had the broken arm, had a cast as a linebacker. Like, if you've got that cast, you might as well use it,
right?
Like
it's called a club for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, if you're out there and you got the weapon, go for
it. Yeah. So, Winker flips the bird at the fans with both hands, and he apologized for that after the game. That was the only thing he was really sorry about, and I don't necessarily blame him, knowing all the backstory now on this. As fans, they're spending their hard-earned money to come watch us play a game, and they didn't deserve that. So, Service, Winker, Rodriguez, and J.P. Crawford were ejected for the Mariners. Nevin, Iglesias, Wance, Tepera were ejected for the Angels. I don't know. They should have probably gotten rid of Wance as soon as he threw behind Rodriguez at that point. I think that's, clearly there was intent there, and clearly it was like, okay, let's get this under control before it gets out of hand.
Or better question, why the hell wasn't he immediately tossed the moment he hit Winker? Mm-hmm. Warnings were issued. It's supposed to be automatic at that point. And I think the umpires are allowed to have a little bit of leeway if it's like if it's clear that it was like a pitch that slipped. But there was no way in hell that pitch slipped. That was let me put you this way. I think Ray Charles could have seen that one, that was intentional.
Well, I mean, and you even see Cervais is on the top step of the dugout motioning to the home plate umpire, like, what are you doing? Get him out of here. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's, not to keep stealing hockey references, but if you get control of the game and you start calling penalties, and You don't let things boil over and get out of control. You do it. That's how you avoid stuff.
Yeah,
like
I mean, look, when you start with an opener, there's your first sign that something there's something already on the stovetop. You know what I mean? And then when you get that first pitch up high, as an umpire, to not read the room. This wasn't the first game of the series. This wasn't the first incident of the weekend. You have an opener on the mound. A guy throws high, and comes right at him. The writings, there's so much writing on the wall, you forget what color the wall is at that point. Like, you just that's bad form on the umpire crew, to not react to what was clearly a situation that was escalating.
And then the umpire trying to hold Winker back, like, dude, come on. Jesse Winker's a big man. You're not going to hold him back.
No, and I mean, if anybody should be allowed to be let go in that situation, it's probably the guy who's just been targeted and hit. Like, you should be trying to control the rest of the situation as much as you can. I mean, you're 4 umpires against 2 full teams, but it was a fun brawl from like a hockey fan standpoint, but really it shouldn't have gotten to that point. The umpire crew definitely did a poor job, capping the situation.
Well, and Winker was pretty much prepared to take on the entire Angels team on his own. Sure he was heading there without any kind of backup.
It's like the old closer, the Reds, who took on the entire Pittsburgh Pirates. What was that, 2 years ago? Oh, that was another good brawl. Man, Reds Pirates, they always have something good at least once a season too. Yeah, you know me, I don't mind a good fight every now and then. That was ridiculous, though.
I sent this in the team chat and in our group chat, and it was pretty interesting. So I don't know if you remember, it was earlier this season, I believe it was, or within like the last year. There's a girl who lives out in that part, I believe, of California. She is a Reds fan. She loved Joey Votto, and the Reds came to San Diego, and her parents took her to the game. She was so excited to see Joey Votto, and he got ejected in like the first inning. Next day, she meets him, and everything's all fine and dandy. She was at the game yesterday to see Jesse Winker, and he got ejected in the first or second inning.
You think it's all a show?
Like,
it's all intentional.
I'm just like, man, what rotten luck for this kid. Just, I can't imagine, like, especially
it's fault.
Like, especially just being like a little kid, like, yeah, I'm gonna go see my favorite player, or not, I guess. So
I guess not.
Like that it made me think, like, when I was in high school, I went out to St. Louis for a bowling tournament, and our opening ceremonies were after a Cardinals game. And so we actually were at the game, and I was really excited because I was going to see Albert Pujols play, it in his prime. And apparently the day before, there was a fight again. I believe it was the Padres as well. So there was a big fight and all this stuff. Very first inning, Pujols gets hit. He charges the mound, and Pujols got ejected. Like, I was just sitting there, just like, why?
I paid all.
This is dumb. So I definitely feel for that girl, and she's had some not so good luck, but it looked like she ended up getting a ball signed by Jesse Winker with a note on it at some point during the game.
Well, the nice thing for her is at least you could see Winker play again at some point, because it's interdivision now, so it's not like she has to wait for the Reds to come into town like she used to.
You want to meet a ball player? Go to a game where they get ejected, get viral on social media, and there you go.
Somehow I don't think that trick's going to work for adults like us, though.
That's true.
Probably not.
As much as we might wish, yeah, that's not going to happen. But yeah, wow, that's Brawl of the Year so far, and it's not even close.
Yeah, the curious thing is really going to be the next time these teams play to see, how strict and how tight, things get called. If it's not obviously, a pitch that slipped or something like that, I think Major League Baseball has got to crack down on their umpiring and act to be very reactive or proactive instead of reactive. Yeah, very proactive with capping the situation.
And then, like Iglesias, after he heard he got ejected, I forgot to put this in the notes, guys. He came back out in the field and was throwing sunflower seeds and gum all over the freaking infield. He was so pissed he got tossed. Dude, what do you expect?
Feeding the squirrels.
Well, and to me, in a situation like that, if you're going to disrespect the playing surface, I think Major League Baseball should step in there and do, a one gamer or something like that, just as a message to everybody else that, if you get into one of these situations, once, cooler heads start to prevail, just let it ride and don't keep up the antics.
Yeah, obviously suspensions have not yet been announced. I checked earlier today. Nothing yet from MLB, which is a little surprising that they haven't at least acknowledged it.
MLB, get on it. The Orioles play the Mariners this next 3 games.
I didn't even think about that. My guess is I'm thinking biggest suspension has to go to Wentz. I mean, he's the one who started it. He hit the guy. He almost hit another guy. He's got to get the biggest. Winker's going to get a big one too for charging the entire dugout.
Should Nevin get one for putting Wentz on the mound?
I think he will. I don't think Cervais is going to get anything extra, but I think Nevin will get something extra. I hope Iglesias gets a little bit of something just because. Seriously, dude, sunflower seeds.
Yeah,
I mean, it was an impressive shot putt. Like. I mean, he didn't just launch the sunflower seeds. He took the container holding all the bags and shot putted it towards home plate.
And not everybody could do that.
No.
So yeah, we'll see where all this comes down. I don't know about Crawford and Tepera, and obviously the other reason being that they're probably still reviewing all the tape just to make sure they don't miss somebody who has earned a well-deserved suspension. Truth be told, I would not be surprised if Rendon's going to get a suspension to start when he comes off the IL next year. Frankly, he should. I mean, come on, dude.
It's like a player coming off the bench at a hockey game to get involved in a scrum or a fight. That's kind of an automatic.
Yeah, I think
mention there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Automatic 10 game, I believe. I haven't seen that happen since the Islanders and the Penguins. I can't remember what year that was, but it was something like a 9-2 Islanders victory, and I think there were like 5 players left from either team on the bench by the end.
Yeah,
of the
something
game.
like that. Yeah, they've really cracked down on the third man in sort of stuff.
Yeah, understandable. You hate to see players flying in off the bench. That's how people get unnecessarily hurt when you have sides that aren't even anymore.
Speaking of hockey, Andrew, we kind of glazed over the fact that your Avalanche have ended the 2-year reign of terror of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So congratulations on that one. Obviously, 4 years ago, the Caps won their first. This isn't the first you've seen, but I think first in your adult lifetime, so you can appreciate a little bit more. So definitely an impressive run by the Avalanche.
Thank you. Yeah, the last time they won, they were still affiliated with Hershey, I believe.
Yeah, they were.
That's how long ago that was. That's why I became an Avalanche fan, honestly. I love going up to the barn, seeing the Bears, and then a couple weeks later, seeing some star guy from the Bears, on TV in the NHL. That was just...
Yeah, Avs have always had a special place for me for that, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the Avalanche just flat out dominated the entire playoffs. They only had 4 losses the entire playoff run, and they never trailed in a series. Just pure domination.
Yeah, ridiculous run differential. They were just throwing stats up on the screen after the game last night, and I was like, holy.
Yeah, I think I saw it was only the second time in the last 15 years that a team's won the cup in under 20 games. Impressive.
That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah, hockey was good to me this year. Now, hopefully, the Bears can turn around and take the Calder Cup back again next year.
Hopefully. Been too long.
Especially after they got hosed in 2020. That was bullshit.
And 20. Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years, I thought that those teams were stacked, and now they've aged out a little bit and have some prospects coming. But hopefully next year will be a little better for them.
It should be. All right, so Jason, let's move on. A new segment we're going to do. Jason, you're going to be highlighting some prospects for us each week, and you have a pretty cool story for this one, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm calling this segment a new segment here. I'm calling it Down on the Farm. Basically, each week I'll highlight a couple standout performances and things like that from all across minor league baseball. And I have three prospects here that I wanted to bring up. The first one, I'm going to save one for the end here, but the first one is Chris Murphy, who is the Red Sox number 10 prospect. He's currently in Double-A with the Portland Sea Dogs pitcher. He went 8 innings, 1 hit, 6 innings, 1 hit, and 8 strikeouts this week. Very dominant performance for Murphy there. And then the other one that kind of stood out to me this week, Hunter Bishop, who is in the San Francisco Giants system. He's actually their number 8 prospect. He's currently in high A ball playing for the Eugene Emeralds. So that's a fun team name there. This week, he batted .381 and had 10 RBI. That is pretty darn good. And there were a couple other names that kind of stood out. Anthony Volpe, the Yankees' top prospect, he had a walk-off home run to clinch the first half division for their Double-A affiliate, the Somerset Patriots, who, as all three of us are familiar with, used to be in the Independent League against our Barnstormers in the Atlantic League here. But a prospect that I really wanted to highlight this week, yes, he's a Phillies player, but his road to the majors has been something else. Mark Apple, he was drafted in 2012, and he was drafted 8th overall by the Pirates. And instead of going to the Pirates, he decided to go back to Stanford for his senior year. He was then drafted as the number 1 overall pick in 2013 by the Houston Astros. And after all this time, this past weekend, he was finally called up on June 25th at 30 years old. He did not get into the games this weekend, but basically Connor Brogdon in the bullpen was put on the COVID list. So they needed a pitcher, and they brought him up. And this is kind of his road here. He was traded to the Phillies in 2015 for Ken Giles. And over that time until 2018, he had a 5.06 ERA and a 1.52 WHIP. He was being called the biggest bust in MLB draft history, and injuries plagued him for so long that in 2018 he quit baseball. Quit baseball for about 3 seasons, and he even came out this past weekend after the call-up and said, he battled depression in 2014, and he just was really excited to get back into it now. He did come back in 2021. And just to give you an idea, other players that were drafted in 2013, to kind of give you an idea of the careers that have been had, Chris Bryant was the number 2 overall pick. Tim Anderson was the number 17 pick. And Aaron Judge was the number 32 overall pick in that draft. So there were some studs in that draft, and Apple being number 1 overall and just had not panned out. Well, he did rejoin the Phil system in 2021, and in last year he went 3-6, had a 6.06 ERA, so struggling again. This year in AAA, he is 5-0 with a 1.61 ERA in 28 innings pitched. So great turnaround for Mark Apple. And it's really exciting that he finally was able to get that first call up. Even though he didn't pitch, he can say for certain that he was in the major leagues. So down on the farm this week, Mark Apple, congratulations on your call up, and hopefully there's many more victories to be had for you.
That's freaking cool, man. Wow, hell of a journey.
Yeah, really.
Damn. I'm getting like, future movie vibe tingles going down my arm right now because, there aren't enough baseball movies out there right now.
Yeah, no, it kind of has like the rookie feel to it almost.
Yeah,
really
I
good.
was thinking that. Especially, I'm interested to see what he does when he finally gets into a game. I don't know how long Brogdon's going to be out on the COVID list. So, I mean,
Probably.
Phillies have an off day today, so it's very possible we'll see him over the next couple of days against the Braves.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he strikes out the Braves batters, it'll be a good time.
Good luck with that. Atlanta killed the last rookie they faced. Another thing, the Red Sox prospect, Jason, I actually saw him earlier this year when I was at that Senators game on their home opener. Man, he throws smoke. And the sound of that ball hitting the catcher's mitt, it reminds me a lot of like Craig Kimbrell-esque, one of those high 90s guys just pumping heat. The Harrisburg Senators, let's face it, they're not a very good team this year, just kind of similar to the entire Nationals organization. They had absolutely no answer for him. I think he gave up 2 or 3 hits total, maybe a couple walks here and there. The Senators didn't score a run until he was long out of the game and the bullpen was in. So I can tell you from experience, actually watching him, he's going to be a big guy for the Red Sox when they eventually bring him up.
Yeah, and it was very tempting to, if not for Mark Apple, I probably would have even looked at Andrew Painter and Mick Abel in the Phil systems, because those two guys are on the same team right now, and they are just killing it. But
and that's the nice thing about this new segment, Jason. Any given week, you're going to have way too many prospects to pick from. So this should be a really fun experiment for you this summer.
Yeah, I'll probably end up picking 1 or 2 hitters and one or 2 pitchers just to kind of get some variety. But we'll be going across all levels. So today we had AAA to the majors, we had AA, and we also had high single A. So I'll be getting a nice variety of everybody here, so we can start really looking at the future of the sport.
I love it. All right. So, we didn't have enough craziness this weekend, just with the Mariners and the Angels. The Astros went up to New York to face the Yankees. And on Saturday, they no-hit the Yankees. It was a combined no-hitter. It wasn't solo. It was Christian Javier, Hector Neris, and I never thought I would ever see Hector Neris' name next to a combined no-hitter. And then Ryan Presley. And Jason, just so you know, Neris did almost blow the no-hitter. He walked, I think, 2 guys the inning he was in there. So some things never change. Javier in that game, he threw smoke. 13 strikeouts in 7 innings. Dusty did pull him. He was at 115 pitches. Understandable. You have 2 innings to go. That's too high of a count to let that try and run. That was the 14th no-hitter in Astros history, the most by any franchise since the Astros began play in 1962. I don't know who owns the all-time no-hitter record for franchises. I did not decide to delve that deep into the history of baseball this weekend. I was a little busy. This is the 8th time the Yankees have ever been no-hit and the 6th time at home. So if you're going to no-hit the Yankees, apparently you're going to do it at home, which is odd with that short porch they have in right field. And then on Sunday, the Yankees were nearly no-hit again before Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run in the 7th inning. Between hits over the span, they went 0 for 52. And that was a 16 1/3 inning hitless drought. That's the longest by any team since at least 1961, and that's per the wonderful guys at Elias Sports Bureau. And then, as has happened many times this year, Aaron Judge hit the walk-off home run in the 10th to win the game. I should have written this down, but I saw a crazy stat that when Stanton and Judge hit a home run, I think the Yankees have only lost like 2 or 3 games this year when that's happened. It's the two of them are just ridiculous. But how about the Astros? I mean, this series was nuts. The Yankees came from behind twice. The Astros threw a no-hitter, damn near threw 2 no-hitters. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the other thing. The last 2 times, I believe it said that the Yankees were no hit, or the last 2 times they were no hit at home. Both times were the Astros.
Was it the Verlander?
It was older. It was older than that. It was like early 2000s, I believe it was.
Was that the one where Oswalt was in and came out after an inning because he got hurt?
It could be. I didn't do too much diving into that. I just saw the stat that it was the last 2 times at home. It was the Astros. But I mean, the big thing here too is, I mean, there were more hits in the Angels Mariners brawl than there were in those 16 and the thirds innings pitch for a while.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I saw somebody this weekend say that this weekend proves we need another Astros Yankees ALCS. I'm like, the hell we do. Knock it off. No. We don't need that. We don't need either of those teams in the ALCS.
Can they both get knocked out in the ALDS? I'm 100% okay with that personally.
Astros be fine with either or both. Not that it's going to happen, tanking in the second half and end up not even making the playoffs.
Yeah. The Astro glide.
Ryan, we love you, buddy. Comment of the night right there.
Yeah, well done, sir.
Jason, I appreciate your effort to try and bring a zinger out, but man, he just swept the rug right out from under your feet. I mean, he's using Astroglide. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And then Jim, the Orioles, they're winning baseball games. Holy shit.
Here we go, Oriole Magic, baby. It's back live. Charm City's coming back to well, I wouldn't go that far. No, dude. Yeah, it's been kind of a wild year. The youth movement in Baltimore is kind of alive and well. I know you had pulled a couple of the stats. I pulled some of the same ones as well. You know, the first 4-game winning streak of the year, 6 games under 500, and we're sitting here in June. Over the weekend they hit their 32nd win of the year. And if you look back over the last 3 seasons, 2018 when they hit their 32nd win, they were 32-75. In 2019, when they hit their 32nd win, they were 32-69. 2021, they were 32-64. This year, 32-39. So like there's definitely marked improvement there. We're sitting here in the last week of June. They're 19.5 back in the division, but they're sitting 7 games outside of a wild card spot. Now, let me be clear. I'm not sitting here with some sort of high, crazy aspirations that 7 games is going to get closed and the Orioles are going to make into a wild card spot. But to see this team sitting in the middle third of the league as opposed to the bottom third of the league is pretty fun to watch. They had 2 back-to-back shutouts against it was against the White Sox, but still give me something. Back-to-back shutouts against the White Sox last week, which was their 7th on the year through their first 71 games. It's the most in that shortest span in 25 years. Like Andrew, you have here, 8 of their last 11. I saw a stat over the weekend that if they were able to keep that pace, now again, I don't think that is going to be the case either. They would finish somewhere around 96-66, which would be absolutely insane to believe in. They're 13-10 currently in the month of June, going into the final 3, which are in Seattle. The last time they had a month over 500 was August of 2017. So all they need to do is win 1 out of the next 3 in Seattle to make that mark. And as of yesterday, if they played in any other division. Now, again, keep in mind, this is still with the AL East schedule. They would be third in the Central, tied for third in the West, third in the NL Central, and fourth in the NL and East and West. So I remember when they hired their manager, and he used to be in the Cubs organization, and my State Farm insurance agent, Mark Hof in downtown Lidditz, is a huge Cubs fan, and I had been down in his office for something, and I was talking to him, and I was like, so what's the scoop on this guy? And he goes, look, it's not going to be a quick turnaround. You don't fix a house that's decrepit and falling apart in a week. But he said if the Orioles let this guy do his thing and work and bring in the youth, then he is going to make the team better. So and it's working. Again, I don't know what the ceiling is for the Orioles. I've never seen them win a World Series, and I'm not holding my breath that it's going to happen anytime soon. But it's fun to get excited about anything when it comes to Orioles baseball.
Well, I mean, Jim, you're used to not even having to pay attention by this point in the season.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to joke that like I'm an Orioles fan and I root for the Phillies when the Orioles get eliminated from the playoffs. So I'm a Phillies fan from opening day on. That's always been the joke, because like it just. With the exception of those 2 years, what was it, 15 and 17? Besides that, it's been pretty bleak for the hell since before I hit puberty. So it's been a long road of crap for the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, I mean, and the thing that the Orioles have going for them right now is, one, I am still incredibly jealous of the bullpen that you have. Although the Phillies
seem to be jealous of that bullpen.
Yeah, although the Phillies bullpen lately has been better, which I'll touch on later. But the young guys are doing so well. Like Adley's doing well. Even like Austin Hayes, like they're getting contribution from everybody,
Absolutely.
Which is what you need to get runs like that. So, the Orioles are looking good.
Now the hope is, because there's been pockets over the last decade or so where you've seen young talent begin to make that rise. Do you actually let them stay in Baltimore, or do you move them? And that's the trepidatious side of me that's just waiting for them to trade Hayes and to trade Rutschman and all these guys. And it would be a real shame, because I think they're actually, is potential for this team. We've seen the Blue Jays make noise in this division. We've obviously seen the Rays make noise in this division. We've seen other teams throughout baseball that have come up, and even if it's for a year or two, they make a run at the World Series, sometimes win a World Series. Again, I don't have this false belief that it's going to happen for the Orioles. But if you continue to let this thing grow with what they've been doing, there's no reason to believe that they can't in a couple more years. Mm-hmm. Be in contention. They have a tremendous farm system, and continue to let it grow and reap the harvest.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Orioles is they've been playing well against their own division, and that division to me is the hardest and the deepest in all of baseball. And our follower and listener Jason, he kind of let us know, the Red Sox were 19-4 so far within this month. So they are the hottest team in baseball right now. Like I know, Andrew, we had the good runs with the Phils and the Braves, and both of our teams are still having heck of a month in June. But I don't think there's a hotter team right now than the Red Sox, and they're making a run. You're going to see the Blue Jays make runs. I mean, the Orioles have a very good chance, even if they don't get in, they can play spoiler at some point throughout this year for 2 or even 3 of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, every division outside of the NL West has at least one team with wins still only in the 20s, and the Orioles are at 34.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's playing within that schedule. You put the Orioles in the Central, God only knows, that they could be better, or the AL West or whatever, that you get amongst competition that's not as great as yours, you know, they could potentially be, you know, sitting near the top of the division, on top of a division, and certainly higher in the wild card if you're playing a different set. You know, give me more series against the Royals and the Tigers rather than the Red Sox and the Yankees, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Red Sox.
Yours have handled the Yankees pretty well this year, so.
I was about to say the Red Sox in the AL East right now, Bud, are 7-14. You guys are 15-19. You've more than doubled the Red Sox total wins.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's like that to me right there is probably one of the more encouraging stats is when you're I mean, you're almost at 500 against the best overall competition, and there's teams obviously throughout the year or throughout the league that are better than, you know, the Rays or probably the Blue Jays, but like when you're constantly playing against the toughest teams and you're winning almost half your games, that's something. That is certainly something.
Yeah. Anybody else wish we could swap the Nationals and the Orioles around, move the Orioles into the NL East just so we could, you know, go see our teams?
Jason doesn't want that, right? Yeah, no. I'd much rather go see them play in Philly than have. I mean, look, I love Camden Yards, but I don't love Baltimore. That's the problem.
Yeah, but if it's an afternoon game, you just park in Timonium and take the damn light rail.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Then you don't even have to deal with Baltimore.
That's true.
Yeah, I would be okay not seeing the Phillies play the Orioles regularly because they are like the Marlins of the American League. Kind of like the Rangers, which again we'll get to later, but yeah. Orioles can stay in the American League, Jim.
Didn't you guys sweep them last year, Jason?
I don't remember. All I know is they may have, but the Phils usually do have trouble with the Orioles.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
I think last year was an anomaly.
Last year was an odd year for a lot of things.
I know the Braves won and everything.
Yeah, right? That hasn't happened since I was a damn kid.
Jason, quit poking the bear. The fucking Vikings are going to end up winning a Super Bowl.
That's.
Wouldn't that be a hell of a funny thing if the Vikings win a damn Super Bowl before the Cowboys get to 7?
I just said, stop tempting fate. Like, just stop it. You know, let it be.
Do we play again this year, or did the Vikings and Cowboys miss each other?
I think they play this year.
I think they do. Yeah, I think it's. Let me double check because I think it's the East and the North play each other this year.
Oh, good. We can beat up on the Eagles.
Love that. Let's see here. Schedule.
Cowboys.
No, I was wrong. Oh, wait, where is it?
Oh.
Nope. November 20th. There it is.
Nice.
Wow, they play 4 straight against the. They have the Lions in week 7, the Bears in week 8, then they have a bye, then they have the Packers in week 10, and the Vikings in week 11.
Nice.
Let's be fair. They have 3 bye weeks there.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I don't know, man. Definitely with the Bears, and maybe with the Lions too.
Well, I mean, Dallas needed, like, both of the last 2 years, they needed come from behind victories to beat the Vikings, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that. And it's at Minnesota, so
I'll say I'm pretty sure neither game was even a Dak Prescott game. It was Andy Dalton, and then we had
who was the guy that played last year? Cooper Rush?
Was it Cooper? Yeah.
I think it was Cooper Rush last year. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, the Vikings defense totally fell apart in that one. Yeah, that was Jim, you probably remember on Twitter me going from absolute ecstatic joy to like, yeah, okay, so it's just going to be this fucking shit
it's
again,
just over.
And
it's
again and again.
Yeah.
And again. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, what do you think, Joe? Chicago Bears, Jimmy Garoppolo. What do you think, man?
I don't know. I doubt it.
The last thing the Bears should be doing is changing quarterback.
Again.
Quarterback's fine. It's everything else with the Bears that's the problem.
I mean, Christ, they've had, 45 quarterbacks since 1983? I mean, good Lord, man.
Yeah, the long running joke, the running joke now for a season and a half on Huddle Up has been that Fields will end up being the best quarterback in Bears history. Not that it's that hard to do.
Oh man. Well, I guess we're starting football talk early this evening, gentlemen.
You gotta knock the rust off, man. I gotta fire up the bus in a month and a half.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I just I can accept the fact that the Vikings will not beat the Packers for the division this year. Could they at least look better than they did last year? I am so tired of watching that defense, which was supposed to be frickin' Mike Zimmer's forte, fall apart late in games when Kirk Cousins wasn't actually playing bad. He was actually playing pretty decently last year, and the defense can't do diddly fucking squat.
That's a problem. The fact that when you have a defensive head coach and your defense falls apart, that's usually a sign that it's over.
Yeah. I liked Zimmer, don't get me wrong. I really did. I thought he was a great hire when they hired him, but boy, at the end of that run,
yeah, I mean, it's what was the quote I just heard? Every coach has a shelf life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good they are. Every coach has a shelf life. Every Super Bowl winning coach, every World Series winning coach, eventually it's going to run out. And you look at going back to the hockey when Bruce Boudreau took over the Capitals and changed that organization, there was only so far they were going to get with him, and then the writing was on the wall, and it happens everywhere. No matter what, every great coach will eventually, Sean McVay will peak out with the Rams. Andy Reid will peak out with the Chiefs. It will inevitably happen everywhere.
I mean, hell, Andy Reid did that once to the Eagles too. So I mean, there's history of this happening with him.
I know Doug Peterson won their Super Bowl, but Andy Reid was the best coach in Eagles history. So, but again, even he had a shelf life.
Yeah. Football. So let's see. T-minus how many months until Penn State starts to disappoint me? Yeah, I give it
it's almost July.
Yeah. So when do they play Ohio State?
Yeah, it's a Notre Dame starts with. So that should be
that'll be delightful.
God damn it! A game where I can't even root for anybody. What the hell? What? Bring back the tie, please. Bring back the tie.
Come on.
Okay, one more. All right, Jason. If the Dolphins miss the playoffs, will Tua be bye-bye? I think it's too soon to get rid of him. If they miss the playoffs, I think it's too soon.
Do I think he's the answer? No, but do I think that they should write him off if they don't make the playoffs this year? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's too soon. You can't cut with a guy like that.
Especially when you have the Bills, who are arguably the best team in the AFC, and the Patriots, who are pretty much, in my opinion, probably a lock for the postseason.
Patriots will always still be the Patriots, so.
Yeah, I mean, you have another year with defensive players coming back. They've retooled a bit. You have what the heck is the quarterback there? His name slipping my mind, but his second year now. The Patriots are probably closer to a playoff lock than the Dolphins are. So if the Dolphins don't make it, I don't necessarily think it's Tua's fault.
Yeah. All right. So hopping back to baseball, since I think we're finally out of football questions for the time being. So Tony La Russa has been telling some of his guys to slow down. Actually, it's not Tony, it's the training staff. There are a couple guys, Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, Lewis Robert, Andrew Vaughn, and AJ Pollock. These are guys who have been hurt, and because they've had such a large number of players that have been injured, La Russa told reporters that these guys are playing under, quote, trainer instructions that if they make a routine out, they slow it down running to first. He said he wanted fans to understand the slower running isn't because of a lack of hustle. He wants the fans to understand they're not lazy, but their legs are important. Tony, why? You've never given two shits what the fans thought before now. You've thrown your own players under the bus in the last couple of years. What the hell?
How bad is the training staff that they can't keep the players healthy running to first?
Right. It just, what? I'm trying to think of a time I've like heard or like read a statement like as ludicrous as that. Like, what are you kidding me? Like, even like at league minimum, like these guys are getting paid adequately. We'll call it adequately, and you know, yeah. You need to look at your training staff. It's not the players' fault. If you're having this many injury problems, figure out a different training program. There's 30 other teams in the league that aren't having this issue. It's not it's not a hustling problem.
I saw that and I was like, how does this man still have a job?
Now,
Most managers will pull their guys for not hustling. Like I know, like I've seen the Phillies managers do it all throughout. Like even going back to when Charlie Manuel benched Jimmy Rollins for not running out a ground ball to first.
Snicker benched Acuna a few years ago for not running out a ball to first. And then he benched him again later in the year because he thought he hit a home run, pimped it, it hit the wall, and he ended up with a long single. Like, come on.
Guys, we need to slow down running to first base because
this is clearly the problem.
Yeah.
Good God.
Because the training staff can't stretch you out enough.
To be fair, the White Sox peaked in the beginning of June last year, so maybe he's trying to save up the energy.
Yeah, well, that's true. Maybe they'll peak in mid-July this year with this strategy.
Every week or two, La Russa does something else that I'm like, I'm just going to ignore it. And then it's just so fucking ridiculous. I have to put it on the episode for the week. It's like every week or every other week now. How does this man still have a job?
Yeah, it's insane. Like it's a legacy thing, right? Because he's an old legend. Like that's the only justification.
Well, the other thing is, and you read Chicago writers, him and Reinsdorf are best friends, and Reinsdorf let him go when he had him the last time. So there's a lot of, I think, regret there on Reinsdorf's part, which is a stupid way to run a team. But
yeah,
what do I know? We start an aging right fielder every other fucking day.
Yeah. I think it's time for them to have that it's not you, it's me conversation.
But it's actually you.
We're not ready for this long-term commitment.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's got a hell of a career. 2,855 wins. If I remember right, that's second all time, a 536 winning percentage. He's got, 3 World Series titles. He's won 6 pennants. So that's over 35 years. He had a hell of a peak. And he also had a damn good Cardinals team that he just could keep riding Albert Pujols until the end of time. Dude, you're out of touch with it now, man.
That's the thing. I mean, it's similar to what we were saying with every coach as a shelf life. I mean, every great coach will get passed by the game.
Yeah,
you know, it's inevitably what used to work won't work anymore.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's what we're seeing here.
I mean, and it goes back to what we talked about last month with Joe Girardi being fired. You can't let past accolades dictate who you bring in presently. La Russa has this great career, but when was the last time his teams made it to the World Series or won a championship? It's
2011.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the same as Girardi. Girardi won the World Series in 2009. Like, that doesn't mean that he is a good manager now. So you can't just keep hanging on to the managers because of past accolades. You're going to pass on some young managers who can probably take you to the next level. Well,
let's remember with Girardi too. Girardi hasn't been successful anywhere that's not called the New York Yankees. And I get Miami. He was only there for a partial season. So I don't hold that against him. Nobody's going to look that good in a partial season. But he was with the Phillies for a decent enough chunk of time, and he was over 500 one time. And I mean, I get it. The Phillies hadn't been over 500 in a very long time, but he was the kind of guy they brought him in, and they were hoping he was going to get things jump started quite a bit quicker than he did, and he didn't. And guys, how long do you think the Tony La Russa circus is going to go? Like, how long is Reinsdorf going to be able to justify keeping him around?
How long is his contract?
I'll pull that up. Let me see here.
I would say at least through the end of the year. Depending on the length of the contract, maybe. I mean, to be as loaded as they have been the last 2 years and to have nothing to show for it but an AL Central title at this point, it is an embarrassment for a guy as good as La Russa used to be. That's the disappointing thing here. I think if there's any length beyond this year, I wouldn't keep him.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wouldn't either. Hold on. Where's that damn article? I just had it.
Yeah. Now, if it gets really bad and I don't know if the White Sox fans even care anymore at this point. But like if the fan base gets loud enough, then maybe you make a change before the end of the year. Again, depending on the length of contract. But especially because the relationship between the two, that there's a huge part of me that would be probably really surprised to see him get moved in season.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it in other sports before. I mean, going back to the football world, the Jason Garrett situation in Dallas, he was never getting fired during a season, ever, because of the relationship that he had with Jerry Jones. It just wasn't going to happen. So I think that's kind of what you're seeing here with this. Is the ownership has a respect for the guy that he's not going to get rid of him in season.
Let's see. It was a multi-year. Does it say how many years?
I mean, they're only 5.5 back at this point, so they're obviously not out of it.
No.
So that calculates into it too as well. But if you don't make a solid run in the playoffs this year, when you have one of the most electric shortstops in all of baseball, at least from a personality standpoint and a hitting standpoint, and you've got all of this talent we've been hearing about for 2 years now. I mean, gotta deliver on it.
Yeah, it looks like his deal, as far as I can tell, basically only runs through this year.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is a multi-year deal that was signed 2 years ago. I'm not seeing any other details. So the White Sox have
and 6 months ago they said he's returning for 2022. So yeah, if it's kind of this handshake deal for this year, I'd be shocked because of the friendship to see him moved. I guess if it gets really that bad, you wouldn't have a choice. And maybe it would be one of those things like, hey, you're going to resign today.
Yeah. I mean, and I think we're almost at the midway point of the season, and they are that close.
Yeah, they're competitive.
So with them being competitive, I don't think, even if they start to drop off, I don't think you'll see him leave before the end of the season, especially if his contract's up after this season. I think it'll be one of those fish out the season. Thank you for your time. I'm going to move on.
Yeah, they need to. They absolutely needed to. One thing I didn't put on there, Joe, KB finally got activated by the Rockies, so maybe he will, unlike Tatis, be able to put up a few statistics for the fans to try to fail voting him into the All-Star game. I did fan voting.
Hey, let him make the All-Star game in a position he never plays in. That's fine.
Maybe he'll be pitcher this time. Who knows? All right, let's move on. All right, so it was a good week for Atlanta last week. They took 3 out of 4 from the Giants. They almost took that whole series. One game I wanted to touch on was the first game of the series because game one, always sets the tone for the entire series. Max Fried came on versus Logan Webb, and I mean, I was expecting not a whole lot of runs, not a whole lot of offense, and boy, that's exactly what happened. Max Fried, brilliant game, 7 innings, 5 hits, a 1 run, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. Logan Webb matched him pretty well, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, no walks. Atlanta did get a home run from Travis d'Arnaud in the second. Will Smith predictably came in and blew the save, although it was an inherited runner, so that went to Fried. But then the Braves rallied in the bottom of the ninth. Orlando Arcia, who has done so well filling in for Ozzie Albies since he got hurt, single to left to knock Goslin home and move Ozuna up. Not that that mattered because it was the bottom of the ninth. Honestly, guys, the Braves-Giants series, I was really happy. These were all tightly contested games. You had a 2-1 victory, a 12-10 loss, a 4-3 victory, a 7-6 victory. This is what Atlanta needed to see. They had that great 14-game streak, but let's face it, they weren't fighting against very good teams for the most part. Actually, I don't think any of those teams were over 500. Not even the team that ended the damn streak was over 500. Yeah, thanks, Joe. God damn it. So it was good to see the Braves. I mean, the Braves this past week, yes, they were at home, but they were facing two of the 3 best teams out in the NL West with the Giants and the Dodgers. So they were able to handle the Giants. They took 3 out of 4. And then the Dodgers came to town. And boy, you want to talk about an emotional week. First, Jock Peterson got his ring earlier in the week when the Giants came in. And then Freddie came back. First time Freddie has been back in Atlanta since the offseason. More details have come out about the contract negotiations, although Freddie didn't really want to get involved with it during his press conference. He actually, when he walked in and then needed to go out for a few minutes to recompose himself before going back in again to have his pregame press conference on Friday night. And, he said afterwards he did all the things he would have done when he was with Atlanta. He and Charlie went to his favorite breakfast spot. The Freddie omelet was still on the menu that he always would get before games. And then Friday night, the Braves played We Are the Champions for him, just like they did for everybody else on opening day. He was able to come out. Brian Snitker gave him his ring because, they asked Freddie did they want the Braves to bring the ring with them to LA, or did he want to wait until he came home? And he said he wanted to wait. All week last week on Tomahawk Talk and every other Brave social media site, it was all, oh my gosh, I hope Freddie still gets a good reception. I hope people aren't assholes, because it's a game, it's a business, yada 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 yada. I'm very happy to say Freddie got a huge ovation during his ring ceremony. And then for his first at bat, the game was pretty much stopped for about a minute and a half because the crowd was just screaming for him, chanting, Freddie, MVP, MVP. I loved seeing it. I still, even thinking about that, I'm getting chills and tingles. I love it. And I fully expect once Freddie's contract's up, if he can get one more year, I fully expect him to come back to Atlanta on a 1-year deal before he retires, because you could tell how much he loved playing in that city, playing for those fans. And, it just sucks. He trusted his agents and didn't know really what was going on. They basically gave Alex Andopoulos an ultimatum, gave him 2 offers, neither of which were even in the realm of what had been talked about before. And so Andopoulos said, fine, screw that, went out and got Matt Olson. And then Freddie actually took less money than the Braves last offer to go out to LA. So, should Freddie been more involved? Sure. Should Andopoulos have reached out to Freddie? Sure. There's so much what if, and it's frustrating. And, to this day, I am still shocked the Braves didn't get this done. I put that completely on the front office for not getting this done, before last season started, when it should have been done. It never should have gotten to the offseason. But I'm really glad to see Freddie get the reception he deserved coming back to Atlanta. And then the game I wanted to focus on in this series was the second game, which was the only game that the Braves won. And ironically, Max Fried was pitching once again, because if you'll notice the trend here, I am firmly on the Max Fried should be in the consideration for Cy Young, and hopefully will be by the end of the year with the year he's having so far. Fried once again dominated the Dodgers, 6 2/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 9 strikeouts. Will Smith did not blow it for Max this time. It was Minter who blew it this time in the 8th inning before the Braves rallied back on an Ozuna home run. And then Kenley Jansen picked up his 20th save of the season. That had to be nice for Jansen, too, to pick up another save against his former team. So, unfortunately, the series didn't go Atlanta's way. They did drop 2 of 3. It was a 4-1 loss, a 5-3 loss, and a 5-3 victory. But again, there were no blowouts. They kept it tight against a fantastic Dodgers team. They took 3 out of 4 from a fantastic Giants team. Guys, I really have no complaints. I would have loved to have seen the Braves not blow that Dodger series, because that last game was an extra innings loss. But you know what? I can't complain with that week last week.
No, they saw a solid week, especially after having that streak that they did against teams that aren't as good. This really kind of was a test for the Braves, and they absolutely passed it this week.
Yeah, I was quite happy. Guys, anything else, Joe, Jim?
I think the Braves did what they needed to do.
It's about freaking time, too. All right.
He says after a 14-game winning streak was snapped and only 2 losses.
Well, but again, it was a 14-game winning streak against terrible teams. And
then you lost 2 in a row, and then you had this week.
I know.
And you lost 2 in a row to a terrible
it's
team.
about time they won 2 series after
somebody's a little spoiled after winning the World Series last year.
And a Stanley Cup and a wrestling title.
Yeah. We know. We get it. Thank you.
Well, it's been fun, everybody.
All right, Joe, what about them
Tell
Cubbies, man?
me not to do this shit anymore.
Joe, take it away. I'm going to shut up now.
It's about time. Jesus.
Man, the love I get on this show.
Look, there's no way to sugarcoat this. This was a mixed bag of a week for the Cubs this week. They lost 3 of 4 to the Pirates. Game 1, they lose this one 12-1. Brubaker for Pittsburgh goes 6 innings, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, no runs. Cruz made his debut for the Pirates in this game. 3 RBI double and an RBI single. So, hell of a debut, kid. Keep it up, man. The only offense in this game for the Cubs was Ian Happ RBI single, who continues to rake, and trade value continues to go up. Jason, I'm looking at you, kid. The biggest thing too is, VR had his 6th error of the year on this one. This was the beginning of the downward trajectory for Jonathan VR. Thank God. Game 2, the 7-1 loss. Wisdom had a homer in this game. Swarmer went 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs. Not his best stuff, obviously. Just a terrible, terrible series. Game 3, the Cubs get a W. They win this one 14-5. It was 14-1 going into the 9th inning. So got to make it look a little better, I guess. Keegan Thompson, I've talked about him pretty much every week on this show. Continues to do the job, whatever role they put him in. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 7 strikeouts. Keegan Thompson this year is 7-2 with a 3.1 ERA. The guy is getting it done. Is a really solid pitcher. He's just a gamer. He's like, okay, you're gonna give me the ball in the 4th inning. You're gonna give me the ball to start the game. Okay, whatever. So I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do in this game. The 14-5 win. Rivas goes 2 for 4 with a homer. Gets hit, 5 RBIs, 2 runs. The 4 of those, he got a grand slam in the 9th inning against a position player. I forget who it was, but And Ortega went 3 for 5 in this game, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a walk. They lose the game on Thursday, 8-7 in 10 innings. Justin Steele, not his best start, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs, 8 strikeouts, 2 homers. The Cubs had a 7-6 lead in the top of the 8th. And Chavez had a homer in the bottom of the 8th and had an RBI single to first base, and Cabrian Hayes scored in the 10th. So Cabrian Hayes continues to do what the Pirates ask him to do and make big plays in big moments. And the Pirates have some talent here. It's really an interesting series, and Bednar, their closer, is phenomenal to watch. So when you play the Pirates, if you guys play the Pirates, Bednar is pretty impressive to watch. The Cubs got outscored in this series again, 32-23 to the Pirates.
Ouch.
Shit.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Damn.
This is just as bad, Jim and guys, as when they beat the Pirates 21-0 in the one game and got outscored in the series. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I'd forgotten about that.
I haven't.
That's not something I would keep reminding the listening audience of. One of those things you cry. It's the crying with a shower beer situation when you just keep remembering that one.
Hey, Cubs fans, do you remember when?
Well, and it's
No,
funny
I don't
you
remember
say-
that. What the hell are you talking about?
It's funny you say that, because in the middle of Cub games, the CHGO Cubs Twitter family, they if the Cubs have a lead, they go and they blow it. They go, "What was your favorite part of the Cubs 3-0 lead?"
That's good. I mean, when you're bad enough for long enough, you just learn to have a sense of humor about how bad you are.
Jim knows from experience.
In so many sports.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where Cub fans are just trying to roll with the punches on this one. When they traded away the entire quality of the team last year, and they said, well, we'll be competitive going forward. Okay, if this is competitive, yeah, sure.
Competitive to what?
And Ricketts doesn't give a shit, because DraftKings is opening their sports book at Wrigley Field here this year. So what does he care? What does he care?
Exactly.
So yeah, any thoughts on the Pirates before we get to the better part of this week?
The position player was shortstop Diego Castillo, who now has a career ERA of 36.
Yep.
Still better.
Anthony Rizzo still has a better ERA.
And struck out Freddie Freeman. Hilariously too.
Of course.
Now, that was not the funniest moment I've seen, though, with a position player pitching. The favorite moment I've seen in the last couple of years, since this has become so big, was, I don't even remember. I think it was D. Strange Gordon was pitching, hit Travis d'Arnaud, and then d'Arnaud took the most epic soccer NBA flop after he got hit by a 42-mile-an-hour pitch. That was great, because let's face it, if we're getting to the ridiculousness that you're going to put position players in, first of all, let the hitters tee off, because you clearly don't give a shit, number one. And number two, if stuff like that happens and you don't have a little fun with it, what the hell's wrong with you?
All I can say is d'Arnaud's flop was so good, LeBron watches it for practice.
Yeah.
Along with the entire U.S. men's national soccer team.
Soccer in general.
Well, yeah, that's so true.
So, anyhow, so the Cubs finish off this week. They win a series against the Redbirds from St. Louis, and win this series 2-1. Jonathan VR, thank God, Friday afternoon got DFA'd, and David Bodie came back up to the Cubs in this game. Nico has a 2-run homer. Hap has an RBI double. At that point in the week, it was Hap's 16th double of the year. So the guy continues to rake, trade value up. Let's just throw that out there. Kyle Hendricks in this game, 7 1/3, 5 hits, a walk, 6 strikeouts. His ERA is mercifully back below 5 at 4.9. And David Robertson gets his 9th save of the year. David Robertson at this point in the weekend had a 1.95 ERA. So Robertson continues to make the most of his appearances for the Cubs as long as he's with the Cubs. Game 2, they lose this one 5-3. Mikolas for the Cardinals absolutely dealt in this game. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, 9 strikeouts. Sampson for the Cubs, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. Goldschmidt went 2 for 4 with a run in this game. His average at that point was 338, and his OPS is 1039. The guy is just continuing to be productive. As painful as that is for me as a Cub fan, that's awesome for him. Arenado in this game, 3 for 4, a double and 2 runs. And then game 3, they take the series on Sunday, 6-5 win in 10. Jack Flaherty left this game after the second inning for an injury, so no timetable on when he'll be back. That's painful for them because they're trying to stay tight with Milwaukee. Donovan for the Cardinals had himself a day, 2 for 4, a homer, a triple, a walk, an RBI, and 2 runs. Cardinals were up 5 after 3, and the Cubs scored 5 in the top of the 4th. Rivas RBI single, Ortega 2 RBI double, Contreras 2 RBI single, and then in the top of the 10th, Contreras RBI single, Velasquez scores. Robertson is 2-0 as far as wins go this year, and 1.86 ERA, trade value up.
That's a note to you, Jason.
Trust me, I wish I didn't need to look into the trade market for outfield, but
I was talking about Roberts.
I don't have a desire to get David Robertson back in the Phillies uniform. He's a thief. What do we determine? It was 30-some million for like 6 total innings?
Yeah, something like that.
And like 2 saves.
It was almost as bad as what Mike Hampton did to both the Rockies and the Braves.
Yeah. No, David Robertson needs to pay back Philly for all that he took from them. so he can stay in Chicago.
He's trying to do the Phillies and actually pays the organization back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of just how hot Goldschmidt has been this year, the guy has scored 55 runs. He has 92 hits, 23 doubles, 19 homers as of tonight, 63 RBIs, 40 walks. The guy is just a beast at the plate this year.
How's he looking Triple Crown wise? I know it's a little early to think about that, but
what did you say his home runs were at, Joe?
19 as of tonight. Trout has 22. Judge has 28.
Well, if we're looking Triple Crown, we're talking just the National League, which Schwarber has 21, and I believe Alonso has 22 at the moment.
Let me check here.
Yeah, Alonso's got 22. Schwarber's got 21. Goldschmidt's got 19. So he's third.
So he's within striking distance.
What's the 3? I forget what the 3 numbers.
Homers, RBIs, average.
So home runs wise, he's at 19. Harper has 15. RBIs, he's at 64. Harper has 48.
But we're not just talking Harper. We're talking like overall.
Alonso's leading.
Schwarber has more home runs and Alonso has more home runs. So
right. Alonso has the most home runs and RBIs.
Say Goldie might have average.
He's got average by almost.
Goldie's got average by 60 points.
No, Machado's got 328. He's still qualified. So, but still, that's ridiculous.
Of that top 3, he's got between Schwarber, Alonso, and Goldschmidt. He's got Alonso by 60 points.
I know it's early, but we might need to start doing a Triple Crown watch. That's damn. That's pretty impressive for this point in the season.
You'll have to wait until after June once Schwarber month is over.
Yeah, that always seems to be the case with him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Is that it for the Cubs? I'm sorry, we sidetracked you and I lost track.
Yeah, I mean that's the week for them. I'm hoping that Jason will put his good juju on Harper or Hayward being DFA'd.
Well, I tried last week, right? That he needs to go.
I have no problem with this defense. I really don't. But when you're hitting 215 and there's other guys coming up, this is a find out what you have kind of year, and he's taking valuable at bats from talent. So
yeah, throw him in the ninth inning as a defensive replacement. Yeah, he does not need to be starting right now.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, how about them Phillies?
So it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We'll start with the Rangers series, which I think the Rangers series, which was a small 2-game set, I think it was kind of a look ahead series for the Phils because they did have the Padres later in the week for 4 games. Game 1, 7-0 loss for the Rangers. Lowe, Heim, Semien, and Calhoun had home runs. Kyle Gibson went 6 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. Perez went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits. And the kicker here, Jairus Familia, who should not be on the team, 1 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. So he's terrible. He just shouldn't be on the big league roster.
Man, I remember when he was good. He was the Mets.
He shouldn't be on any big league roster at this point.
No.
Good Lord.
But I do remember when he was dominant for the Mets.
Yeah, you didn't get that.
Game 2 was a 4-2 loss, so they did lose both games this series. Kyle Schwarber continuing his tear in June. There was a tweet out that's basically like the calendar for the year goes January, February, March, April, May, Schwarber, July, August, September, October, November, December. That's if you look at his history, his career, he destroys it in June when the weather gets warmer. Had a 2-run homer in the 3rd. Calhoun had the key hits for the Rangers here because it was tied up after that Schwarber home run. Key hits in the 3rd and the 5th innings to give a couple RBIs, and the Rangers never looked back. Big thing in this one here, both starters, Zach Wheeler and John Gray, man, the teams made them pitch. Wheeler, it was his first loss in 6 starts. He only went 4 1/3 innings, and he only gave up 7 hits and 2 earned runs and had 8 strikeouts, which you would think, why did he come out after 4 1/3? Well, it's because he threw 99 pitches in that 4 1/3. And the thing is, like, when I looked at that, I'm thinking, okay, did he have a lot of walks? Things that he only had 3 walks. So it was just a lot of foul pitches, a lot of just really working the counts a lot. And John Gray didn't even fare that much better. He went 5 2/3, so he didn't even get out of the 6th. 4 hits and 2 earned runs. He had 102 pitches. So both offenses really made the starters work in that game. Moving on to San Diego here. 4-game set. Couple quick highlights here. Game 1, 6-2 win for the Phils. Schwarber and Real Muto had home runs. Hosmer had a home run for San Diego. Ranger Suarez had a dominant outing. 7 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. And the Phillies got to Joe Musgrove, which is big. We said that last week that not so much the Rangers series, but the Padres series would be kind of telling for the Phillies. And they got to a Cy Young candidate, got him the loss, 6 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs. So a really good start to the series. Game 2 was an insane pitcher duel. Aaron Nola versus Mackenzie Gore, both were great. It ended up being a 1-0 game. It ended up being a loss for the Phils. The Padres took this one. Again, I think we need to change being DeGrom to being Nola because he pitched lights out again, just didn't get any offense. And of course, the one RBI that occurred was to his brother, Austin. Austin Nola did get the lone RBI off of his brother in the 6th. Game 3. This is a heartbreaker. Phil's ended up winning this one 4-2. JT Realmuto had a home run, but the big story here, which I'll touch on again briefly after this, was Bryce Harper taking a 97-mile-per-hour fastball to the thumb, and X-rays confirm that it is broken. He is currently out indefinitely, which is going to be an absolutely catastrophic blow potentially here. I'll touch on that more in a moment. But game 4, first game without Harper, Phillies came back and won 8-5. It was a character win for them, something that they needed to do. They took 3 out of 4. Nick Castellanos had 4 for 5, which was his first 4-hit game of the season, which is a very welcome sign because with Harper being out, Philly needs another big guy named Nick to step up, like Nick Foles did for the Eagles if they want to compete. Sorry, Jim. It was just my thought here was the name Nick.
No. Fuck Nick Foles. Fuck Nick Foles.
Philly needs.
How dare you?
Philly needs a different guy named Nick to step up.
No, you're fired. No,
but I don't want to do this shit again.
But Kyle Schwarber had a 3-run homer for the lead. It was his 21st of the season, and so he's kind of under the radar right now. I think he might soon start actually coming back up in All-Star votes. Like I know his average isn't there. Joe, your Moneyball Player of the Week here, Kyle Schwarber. He has a 30-game on-base streak at the moment.
That's because it's still June.
That's also true. And I was talking earlier how the Phillies bullpen has been pitching very well lately. In their last 12 games since the bullpen changes, like moving Corey Knebel out of the closer role, the Phillies bullpen has a .164 batting average against for the opponents, .94 whip, and they actually had a 34-inning streak of no base runners, which ended yesterday in, I believe, the 7th or 8th inning. Jose Alvarado gave up a walk. So a great 3-game out of 4, great series win for the Phils. But guys, the Harper injury is devastating. What happened in this game here? They were facing Blake Snell, the lefty, and Snell has been having control issues all season. And fastball got up and in. It was one where Harper was actually lucky it didn't hit him in the face, but it did get his left hand. He went down instantly, and coming up and off the field. You see him start yelling back to Snell. And I saw some people around social media kind of like going after Harper about this, saying like he's being selfish and things like that. And first of all, if you get smashed with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball that's going to end your season, you're not going to go, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
First off, hit yourself in the thumb with a fucking hammer, hitting a nail into a board, and you get pissed off. That's nothing compared to a 97-mile-an-hour. I dare anybody. There was that one person on Twitter that I saw was like going off about. I dare that person to go into the slowest batting cage at their local batting cage and take one to the hand. Just one. I'll even give you the palm it, the slowest one, and tell me it doesn't hurt like an MFer. Are you kidding me? 100 miles an hour to your thumb? Piss off.
Well, and then the other thing is, it came out that afterwards, like Harper wasn't even yelling bad things to Snell. he was actually yelling back to Snell, I know you didn't try it. It's okay. Like, because Snell was apologizing from the mound, like saying, it's my bad, I'm sorry. Like, those two are friends. And Harper recognized that, and Harper even texted him after the game. You know, I mean, the guy was having another MVP caliber year. He was. I still think he'll be chosen to be an all-star.
He should be chosen to be an all-star,
especially because we're so late in voting right now that you can't let this injury mean that he's not an all-star. He should get selected, and then of course you're going to replace him because he can't play. But what's feels almost criminal to me is he's been on the Phillies for 3 to 4 years and has not gone to represent the team in an all-star game yet.
You're kidding. How the hell is that possible?
Well, he had the slower start last year that he turned on to win the MVP. And
2020 doesn't
2020.
Count.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, he has not gone to represent this team in an all-star game yet, and he still won't. Like, he'll be an all-star. We can finally say that he'll be an all-star for the Phillies, but he's not going to get to play in the game. But guys, just to give you information on just how brutal this is, I mean, we already knew just how valuable he is to the team, being the reigning NL MVP, putting up those numbers again this year. In his last 162 games, he has 42 home runs, 55 doubles, 99 extra base hits, a slash line of 324, 420, 643, 1.063, and he has a 6.0 win probability added over the last 162 games. You can't replace that. And the thing here, and what's kind of giving me a little hope, a lot of it's going to depend on whether his thumb needs surgery or not. There is a potential that he'll be back later in the year, depending on the severity of the break.
I was going to say, I mean, if they're going to end up being postseason bound, is he going to be able to return for the postseason?
So, Philadelphia Inquirer reported earlier today it is likely that he will need surgery, but he will not be done for the year, regardless of playoffs or not.
Okay.
So there is that potential.
It's one of those, they need the swelling to go down. They need to get in there and see what the actual severity of the break is, because the plain films with all the swelling, it's not super conclusive, but it was enough to say, yeah, you're probably going to need surgery.
Yeah. And it was actually something, Harper came out after the game and he said that he would have rather gotten hit in the face with it. He goes, I can handle a 97 mile per hour fastball to my face. I can't handle it to the thumb because it's a smaller bone. So
right.
But he's never actually had a broken bone before. So it'll be interesting to see how it heals, how quickly it heals. Again, you can't rush him back because you're going to need him for the rest of his career. But basically, this is the time for the other big money guys to step up. Nick Castellanos, he stepped up yesterday like he needed to. Somebody shared, online that you take Bryce Harper out of this payroll, they still have a $200 million payroll. They still have the talent there. They just need it. Castellanos and Real Muto, which Real Muto is starting to hit the ball better. Castellanos, he needs to be the guy that they brought him in to be.
They have the money spent. I don't necessarily say that they have all the talent there, because a lot of that money is also on the IL with Segura as well.
That's true. And I think what you're going to see here, I do think you're going to see the Phils, especially if they're continuing to contend, they will probably be small buyers at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to go huge just because they know that they have Harper for the rest of the career. They just need a placeholder for the rest of the season.
Right. I mean, if you're in a contender spot, that I think that's a situation where you assess where he's at. If you think that, maybe he's not ready, something like that, you get somebody who's on, the last year of a deal or something like that you have somebody in place if Harper's not ready or if he's not going to be back to 100%.
Yeah.
And then you can throw him at the DH spot and have somebody else play the field as well. Now having that permanent DH is a flex spot for that situation.
Yeah, I mean he could play with that strained UCL, but he can't play with that broken thumb. So,
Jason, you got to do what Atlanta did last year. Acuna went down; they went out and got 3 outfielders.
Yeah, I do think, Joe, that the Phils will be inquiring about Ian Happ. I think a lot of it will depend on the asking price. I can even see them even trying to look at Benintendi out of Kansas City, because Kansas City is going to be sellers. So I think they might even look at moving somebody like Mickey Moniak and a couple lower level prospects to try and bring in Ian Happ or Benintendi. I don't think they'll get rid of Matt Vierling or other top prospects, but giving them somebody like Mickey Moniak who can probably help their team now or within the next year, that may be the direction that they look to go, because they're basically trading outfielder for outfielder, saving that room.
Yeah. The tough thing with the Cubs is that they have Canario, who they got in the Rizzo deal. They have Velasquez. They got PCA. They've got a crap ton of outfield talent coming up the pipeline. And as much as I don't want to lose Ian Happ, you could afford to lose him for, maybe a first baseman, maybe, a third baseman.
If they don't think that they'll be able to re-sign Wilson Contreras long term, I would say look for Logan O'Hoppe, who has been. I am so high on Logan O'Hoppe. Like to me, he would be the catcher once JT's deal is eventually up. He potentially would be included in a deal. But yeah, I think the Phils did claim Mercado off of waivers, which is a defensive upgrade. And you're going to see the young guys get basically a bulk of the playing time now. Like Moniak was called up immediately after Harper went down. And I think you're going to see Castellanos. He did get moved back to the DH role yesterday. And that's where I think he's going to spend most of his time now, because people are actually wondering if maybe him being in the field a lot was affecting him at the plate. So but
here's the thing. We haven't had the DH in the NL for a long time, and he was an outfielder for years, the Reds, and was a great hitter with them.
That's true.
So
but the thing is, now he can focus solely on his hitting.
I still feel like Schwarber's the better choice to stuff at the DH and forget about Castellanos.
With how hot Schwarber is right now, you can't mess anything with.
Yeah, granted,
But part of me is I keep hoping that Thompson with this injury does not move Schwarber down in the lineup. He didn't do it yesterday, and it paid off with Schwarber still being in the leadoff spot. Castellanos ended up moving. I believe Castellanos ended up being in the cleanup spot yesterday. But, guys, this has the potential to go. I mean, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be catastrophic and derail the rest of the season for the Phils, or it's going to lead to more motivation and they'll be okay. So I'm hopeful for the latter, but I'd be lying if I said over the last day or two I was kind of thinking season's over. But
I know where you're coming from, dude. I was there last year, and Joe said it's not over yet.
Right about what was it? Right about this time, Andrew, last year?
Yeah, right about now.
And what did I say last year? Within the next 2 weeks, pick up somebody, see what they do, and go from there.
Yep.
And within that 2 weeks, they had Jock,
Rosario, and
breaking, and
Duvall, I believe, didn't they?
Duvall.
Yeah, and they got Duvall back too.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I don't think I think you're in a 2, maybe 3 week window right now, Jason, where
Yeah.
you're going to either figure out, okay, we're in a spot where we can continue to do this, or it's over. One or the other.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
this 3 week window is going to make or
yeah,
break.
because I know people were saying like, if the Phillies start to fade here over the next few weeks, do they sell at the deadline? I don't think they sell.
No.
No,
You don't sell the $215 million payroll or whatever
No.
it is.
I think what they would just need to do is kind of just get that placeholder, get to the end of the season, get to next year, and reload.
The next from between now and the trade deadline, if it's evident that they're not going to be a contender, you stay. You just stay. There's no reason to go buy, but you're definitely not going to sell. You've built this team for more than just this season.
Right.
It's not like you signed a bunch of guys in a 1-year deal that are all leaving after this season. You'd be crazy to sell this.
I mean, the two big pieces that are coming off the books at the end of this season are Gregorius and Segura. Segura has said that he wants to come back, and I will be very happy if they bring him back. And I think you're looking at even shortstop. There have been rumors that are linking the Phils eventually to Trey Turner or Correa, one of those offseason acquisitions, because shortstop free agency this next offseason is going to be massive. There's so many shortstops on the market. But for right now, Phils just kind of need to bide their time. The good thing that they have going for them is their schedule. The second half of the season is the second easiest in majors as far as the teams that they play. So,
and they had this same easy schedule last year.
No, it was switched.
Okay.
Yeah, it was inverted.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, Jason. I think Benintendi's the guy that they're going to go after more than Happ, because Happ still has a year of arbitration after this.
Yeah.
So that's going to jack the Cubs' asking price up, and you don't need a 2-year outfielder. You need a 1-year outfielder.
Yeah, and I believe Benintendi is a free agent to be. So he would be that placeholder. Get him in, let him help out the team. He gets on base. Joe, he's a Moneyball guy. Gets on base, has good average. He has plus fielding. So,
which God knows you guys need.
Yeah. But we'll have to see. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't on the edge of a cliff when I woke up Sunday morning and saw the news.
Yeah, dude, I get it. All right, so let's move on to the hot players list. My list this week, I've got Isaac Paredes of the Tampa Bay Rays, a 579, 619, 1.474 slash line, 6 runs, 5 homers, 9 ribbies, 11 hits, 2 doubles, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. I had Alejandro Kirk of the Blue Jays, 450, 522, 1.050 line, 5 runs, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, 9 singles, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Dansby Swanson of the Braves, who I am officially putting ahead of Trey Turner on my all-star ballot list, 387, 406, 807 line, 7 runs, 4 homers, 6 RBIs, 12 hits, a double. I had Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, because of course I did. A 445, 33, 840 line, 6 runs, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, 11 hits, 2 doubles, a triple, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. And then I also had Julio Rodriguez on here, 318, 400, 733, 8 runs, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, a stolen base, 7 hits, a double, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 beanball dodged. So that's my hot list this week, guys. Anybody else you guys want to add for the hitters? All right. Joe, who is your Moneyball player of the week?
I've got 2 here. LeMahieu for the Yankees. Slash line for the week, 333, 520, 556. OPS of 1076. 2 runs, 6 hits, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, 7 walks, and 4 strikeouts. And then Jesse Winker for the Mariners. .500 average, 640 on base, 944 slugging, a 1584 OPS, 4 runs, 9 hits, 2 walks or 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 6 walks, and 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Also, 1 beanball received.
Right.
Not nice, I know. All right. For me, for pitchers this week, Corbin Burns, he went 2-0, 19 strikeouts that were 15 and a third, 184 ERA, .75 whip, 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 4 walks, 2 homers. Dylan Cease, the White Sox, he went 1-0 as well, 13 and a third, 24 strikeouts. Jesus. .69 ERA, .62 whip. I had Shane McClanahan of the Rays. He went 1-0, 13 and a third, 18 strikeouts, 1.38 ERA, .69 whip. Very nice. And then I also had Max Fried on there. He did not pick up a win despite his 2 starts. Went 14 2/3, 17 strikeouts, 1.98 ERA, 1.02 whip, 3 runs, 11 hits, 3 walks. Anybody else pitchers for this week?
Not starters, a couple other bullpen guys.
All right, hit the adulting reliever. Do it, Joe.
There's a couple here. So I've got 3 of them for this week. So it was a good mix here. Emmanuel Clace for Cleveland, 2 for 2 in save opportunities. 2 innings, no hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts. Edwin Diaz for the Mets, 2 for 2, 2 and a third, 3 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, a 1.29 whip. And then Tanner Rainey for the Nationals, 3 for 3 in save opportunities, 3 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. The whip was 133.
Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, hot teams for me this week. I have the Yankees, the Red Sox. Jim, I'm throwing the Orioles on not just because you're here, but because they actually finally earned it.
Goddamn deserve it. That's why.
For the first time, also actually like 3 years, they've earned
Probably
it.
the history of this show.
It is, considering we just started last year. Yeah. I've got the Astros on here. I have got Jesus. I've got the Brew Crew. I've got the Dodgers, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna keep Atlanta and New York off this week. Jason, I'll toss you a bone. I'll give you the Phillies, even though they got swept by the Rangers in one of those stupid mini series that should be banned. I hate those 2-game series.
Yeah, so I definitely think that was a series they were just kind of looking past because they had that huge 4-gamer against the Padres.
Understandable. Yeah, absolutely understandable.
And they did what they needed to do. I said last week that I'd be happy if they got a split against the Padres, and they took 3 out of 4. So
yeah,
they're still doing all right.
All right. So coming up this week, big week for the Braves and the Phillies. They face each other. A 3-game series in Philadelphia starting tomorrow night. The pitching matchups, we got Morton versus Wheeler. We've got Wright versus Suarez. We've got Anderson versus Nola. What the hell? That matchup sucks. And then moving on to Cincinnati on Friday, you got Fried versus Minor, Strider versus Molly, and Morton versus Castillo. Oh, do we not have to face the flame-throwing devil this time? All right. I can work with that. And then the Phillies, after Atlanta, they host the Cardinals. Eflin versus Mikolas. Gibson versus, I'm assuming that was supposed to be Flaherty before he got hurt. So that's TBA. And then Wheeler versus Wainwright. That's going to be a great matchup on Sunday night. Sad for you, Jason. That's the ESPN game. So you'll have to deal with Aroyd during that.
That means that's a loss, too. Phillies don't do well in primetime games.
No, those Sunday night ESPN games are such a shit show anyway.
Yeah. Especially because ESPN doesn't have that, wall camera angle.
I'll say, how's replay going to hurt them this time?
Yeah, basically. And then for the Cubbies, week 3 versus the Reds, Thompson versus Castillo, Steele versus Green. Oh, that's going to be a great game. Hendricks versus Ashcraft, and then they host the Red Sox for 3, Sampson versus Winkowski, Mills versus Hill, Thompson versus TBA for Boston. Oh, man, Jason, this is going to be a fun week, except for that last game. I do not like that matchup one damn bit.
I like it. What are you talking about? Although you should like it because it means the Phillies won't score any runs.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. Except which Ian Anderson am I going to get? Am I going to get the guy who looks absolutely dominating, or am I going to get the guy who's been inconsistent, walks everybody while allowing 4 to 6 runs in 4 innings?
I prefer the latter. But...
Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
What's really good for you is that you miss Max Fried and you miss Spencer Strider.
Yes.
Because Fried is blowing everybody out right now. And Strider, he's had a couple rough starts here and there, but he's been throwing gas. He's been mixing that slider in really well, so players can't just tee off on that 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope after the All-Star break, they move him up to 4 and move Ian Anderson down to 5.
Yeah.
Because that also might help Anderson to get some better matchups, too.
Yeah, look at everything this week. With Bryce Harper, I would say that I'd be looking at the Phils probably taking or hopefully taking 2 out of the 3. Without Harper, I won't be surprised with whatever happens, honestly. Whether it's Philly sweep, Braves sweep, 2-1 Braves, 2-1 Phils, I will not be surprised with whatever happens. But I do think that the Phils have the right guys in the rotation coming up against the Braves. So,
yeah, that's definitely true. Just so you know, I don't know if Acuna is going to be starting tomorrow night or not. He wasn't able to put weight on his foot on Sunday. He was cleared of a fracture, but a lot of swelling and whatnot. But with the off day, he may be okay to go Tuesday. So you may get lucky and get a game without Acuna in there as well.
Yeah.
And breaking news, guys, MLB has just handed out some hammers. 12 players and coaches have been suspended for their roles in the brawl. So let's take a look here.
What we got?
All right, I'm pulling it up right now. Hold on a second. All right, so let's see. Phil Nevin, interim manager of the Angels, 10 games. Jesse Winker, 5 games. Let's see here. J.P. Crawford, 5 games. Angels pitcher Ryan Tepera and Andrew Wentz, 3. How did Wentz only get 3 games? That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
Unless they're saying that he basically was just doing what he was told.
Yeah,
situation.
That's bullshit. Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners, 2 games. Raciel Iglesias, 2 games. And Major League interpreter Manny Del Campo, 2 games. I never even heard of an interpreter getting suspended. What the hell? And then, it did happen. Anthony Rendon out for the season after undergoing wrist surgery will be suspended 5 games when he returns from the IL. And he's prohibited from being on the bench for the next 7 games.
Wow.
I think you might have had Winkers a couple games off there.
7.
Oh, yeah, he's only 7.
Yeah, he's 7.
No, I misread that. Yeah,
I'll say he probably should have.
Why did Wantz only get 3? First of all, he's a pitcher, so 3 games doesn't fucking
right. And again, this has always bothered me with baseball. When you suspend a pitcher, it should not be 3 games. It should be 3 starts. If they're sitting, well, I guess this is kind of a complicated one because technically he's a bullpen guy.
Yeah, he's not even a starter.
So this one, I guess you could apply a 3-gamer and it would make sense. It has always bothered me when a starting pitcher gets like a 4-game suspension. He literally doesn't miss a game. That's literally part of the rotation. They should miss 4 starts. If you're going to penalize somebody, actually penalize them.
Yes.
That has always driven me insane when it comes to starting pitchers in baseball and suspensions.
Yeah. Wholehearted agreement there. Holy crap, though. They actually came down on Nevin. They actually came down on him.
And you know what? I actually don't hate Wantz only getting 3 games because, again, I feel like he just happened to be like the trigger guy.
He was a pawn in the game.
You know what I mean? He went out and did what he was told to do. Those orders came from the manager.
Yeah.
So I actually applaud Major League Baseball for really handing the hammer down on Nevin. Could Wantz have gotten a couple more? Probably. Maybe at least, I don't know, give him 5, maybe match Winker 7 because those are the 2 main culprits in all of this. But I think Nevin definitely should have gotten more, and I commend Major League Baseball for doing that correctly.
Did you say Cervais in there at all?
Yes. No, he didn't.
You did
No,
not.
he did not. Bench coach Ray Montgomery also got a 2-game suspension, but he won't start his suspension until Nevin's back because he's the one who's managing in his place. Catching coach Bill Hasselman got 2 games as well. And assistant pitching coach Dom Chitty got 5 games as well. Damn. Okay, so the Angels' entire staff got nailed up for this.
Good.
Okay, should have.
Good.
Cervais didn't get
Good.
anything.
So
Good.
I'm glad Cervais didn't get anything there because he was more upset with the umps. Like he didn't really have any involvement with that.
And honestly, and I don't know what the umpire pool is like, but the only thing I am kind of disappointed at is I feel like this entire crew should be given a game, especially the home plate umpire.
Yeah.
For failing to recognize the situation and stop it before it started.
Yeah, that did not need to happen. That could have been completely prevented by an immediate ejection and been done with it.
Right, because when I watched the clip, because I meant to watch it the other day, because I heard about it, and then it just slipped my mind. And when I just watched it, you see him get hit by the pitch, and the umpire gives him the base, and he just walks. And I'm like,
"Whoa,
what are
you're
you
supposed
doing?
to do this."
Gone. It should have been
gone.
the minute that pitch came in. Gone, out, done. End it, and he didn't. And I'm like, man, that's failure. That's failure.
And I don't know that would have stopped the brawl from happening. No,
but it might have made it.
I think if you
less
tossed
bad.
him, when Rodriguez gets thrown at, this fight doesn't happen.
Yeah. I would have done it. Yeah, I would have done it then.
Yeah, I wouldn't even given a warning. I would have just tossed the guy and been done with it.
I would have tossed the pitcher because it's clearly there was intent there.
Yeah.
Then given warnings to both teams.
Because you look at the pitcher's body language after that pitch. I brought up, we last year we had Webb hit. Oh crap! Which Mets outfielder was that? Anyway, one of the Atlanta pitcher, he nailed a Mets batter with like a 99-mile-an-hour fastball right underneath his eye right here. Was it Pilar? Maybe I can't remember.
Yeah, Pilar. Yeah.
And immediately, like he dropped to his knee. He was shaken. Like you could tell it was clearly a pitch that got away from.
Yeah.
No, he was ready to have some guy coming after him swinging.
Right, he knew it was up. He knew what was going on.
This is like Roger Clemens and Mike Piazza. There was clearly 100% intent. There was no accident there either. Come on. Here's the thing. We'll never know if the umpiring crew gets suspended because MLB will never announce it. It'll all be handled internally, just like that plus 1.5-inch border that somehow gets added for the umpires in their stupid report cards from MLB.
This is like A-Rod and Veritek. These teams do not like each other.
That's still to this day, Veritek shoving his mitt in A-Rod's face. One of my favorite moments in the entire Yankees-Red Sox rivalry over the years. Just freaking phenomenal. That's that for the suspensions. I really love seeing though how much the Angels staff got nailed up.
Absolutely.
Well done, MLB. And I don't say that very often when Rob Manfred's in charge of anything.
I mean, you went down the entire Angels staff and suspended the interpreter.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I want to know what the interpreter actually did. Was he throwing punches, or was he just like yelling in a different language for somebody to go attack somebody else? Like,
I need details.
I really want to know what the interpreter did.
We need some details. We'll keep an eye on this as this comes out over the next couple of days because and also, is the interpreter allowed to appeal his suspension?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Who knows?
He's a team employee, so probably.
Yeah, I guess so. I never even would have thought of asking. If you would have asked me any time before the start of this year, would I be asking, can interpreters appeal their suspension? I never once would have thought those words were going to come out of my mouth. Jesus. All right. So, yeah. Anyway, so back to the upcoming week. Joe, do do you think you guys are going to pull anything out of the Reds, or are you pretty much chalking it up to another like 1-5, 0-6 week?
I have no idea, man. I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I'm just trying to see what they have.
Hey, you get Thompson twice and Steele once, so it could be worse.
I mean, Thompson twice kind of makes me go, all right, you'll get 2, maybe. Steele is good, but the bullpen has been shaky behind him when they come in. And my manager is still David Ross, and my ownership is stupid. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You brought up Contreras earlier. It's clear at this point that they're not re-signing him. So it's just a matter of where he goes. The guy is hitting the absolute cover off the ball. So he could almost be a permanent DH at this point if you really wanted to.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy with Harper's injury. I just thought of this. Little Contreras is number 2 on the DH voting right now for the NL. So it's been a long time since we've potentially had brothers on the same All-Star team. I can't even remember the last time that would have happened. So
you need to remember here, though, that even if Harper gets chosen as the starter, he's not going to be playing. So,
well, they would still take 2 DHs anyway because they usually pinch hit. So
yeah,
that's really cool. We could see that. All right, so guys. Any other series you're watching for this week? I'm going to be very focused on Braves Phillies, obviously. I'm going to be at the game tomorrow night, so I'll let you know how badly Wheeler pitches. Am
I not going along with you this tomorrow now, or what?
Oh yeah, well, I guess you could still come. Yeah, so it was supposed to be Jason's first ever. Well, both boys' first ever MLB games, and Jason's first chance to ever see the Braves live. But the boys are going camping, so we're going to take them to see another game later this year. Jason, we're returning the favor of those wonderful Duke tickets earlier this year to finally see Coach K before he retired. So, me and Jason will be at the game tomorrow night.
Godspeed to both of us.
Unmerciful trash talking throughout this entire game. I don't even remember where the freaking seats are, man.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Yeah, just give me a hot dog. Keep the beer coming, and I see this going 2 ways. We're either going to have one hell of a pitcher's duel tomorrow because Morton and Wheeler will just strike out everybody, or Philadelphia is going to be Philadelphia in the hot, humid weather, and the balls are just going to fly, and it doesn't matter who's out there. That's really the way I see tomorrow going. Yeah. So it's been a long time since I've been down in Philly for a game, so I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I do have a couple series that I'm looking at this week. Actually, this whole week I'm keeping an eye in Toronto. The Red Sox are in Toronto to start the week, and the Rays come in at the second half of the week, including a doubleheader against the Rays. So the Blue Jays have a huge divisional week this week.
Yeah, I'm of course keeping an eye on the Seattle series with the Orioles. You need, like I said earlier, you need 1 out of the next 3 games. The Orioles up 1-0 in the first. You get one win out of these 3, and you have your first plus 500 series a month since August of 2017. So it's definitely a big thing for them. Then they go to Minnesota to start the month of July before coming back to face Texas. So a little road stretch there. The Orioles have not been as good on the road as they have been at home. So you definitely want to capitalize, especially on a Mariners team that has been heavily distracted and now missing some players. So definitely want to capitalize on at least one of these next 3.
Plus, anytime your team gets a win over Dave, I mean, you're going to be a happy man.
Yeah. You can never go wrong there.
Joe, any other series you're watching?
Mets Astros, the beginning of the week here, along with
that'll be a fun one.
White Sox Angels here at the beginning of the week.
If the Angels, have a coach.
Angels can field a team.
Right. I think that Cardinal Phillies series is going to be pretty good here at the end of the week. And yeah, I mean, I'm just White Sox Giants at the end of the week too could be interesting. Padres Dodgers this weekend. All good things to follow, obviously. It's the way it's going.
Yeah, Joe, you mentioned the Phil's cards. I was looking at some of the games here. I got a notification that while the Phillies do have the second easiest schedule the second half of the year, need to remember that we're not actually at the second half of the year yet. Yeah. 10 out of their next 13 are against either the Braves or the Cardinals. So it's going to be a big stretch here the next 2 weeks.
And then after your second Cardinal series, Jason, you go on the road to Toronto.
Yeah.
That's a tough way to end the first half of the year. Then you get Miami, which, as we all know, that's either going to go very well or very poorly.
Hey, they took the series last time. There's hope now.
Yeah, but they're on the road.
Hey, Jim, question. Is the Orioles' success at home due to the wall moving back?
I mean, you can't write it off. I mean, you've seen what they've done the last couple of years, and all of a sudden they're a team with a different direction. So maybe I like that quote from that Andrew said from Mancini. They come to the park every day thinking they can win. So I mean, you gotta attribute it to something. I don't care if it's the wall. I don't care if they change the windows in the warehouse. I don't give a shit as long as this team starts winning.
And the other thing here, we didn't actually touch on this. Last week, Austin Hayes hit for the cycle. He in 4 straight at bats, he got all 4 that he needed, including a home run over that left field wall that was moved back.
Yep. Yeah, and really, I mean, he had the triple out of the way early. Mm-hmm. And it came down to the double that was last. So it was not. Sometimes you'll see you go single, double, home run, and then that triple's the last part. He kind of knocked the hard one out. To start the thing. So that was impressive in and of itself.
Yeah.
Reminds me of when Rosario hit for the cycle last year against San Francisco. He did it in 6 pitches.
Yeah.
Like, talk about jumping on the first pitch and not screwing around. That was nuts. And guys, when he won the NLCS MVP last year, he actually brought back the Triple Crown bat for that series. Like, you never see a player bring a special bat like that back out. That was nuts. All right. So Jim, where's everybody going to find you on social media, bud?
Yeah. Like the name tag says here, at Big Jim Sports is where you follow me. We're at Huddle Up Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. Actually, tomorrow will be the last teaser of the new Huddle Up logo, which will be dropping on Friday. Refreshing the look a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of insight. If you don't like blue and gold, well, tough shit, because you're still going to get blue and gold. But I think you'll enjoy. I think you'll enjoy the new look. So get ready for the full reveal on Friday. Make sure you're subscribed over there. If you're a pro wrestling fan, at 3 Count Thursday, we go live on Thursday nights each and every week. And we also have a podcast episode that drops on Tuesday morning. So we have content coming out twice a week over there. We're at 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 3countthursday.com. So always a pleasure, boys. It's nice to talk baseball when I don't feel like my team is completely hopeless either. So this is a whole new feeling for me.
It's quite a turnaround from when you first joined us earlier this year to foreshadow and forecast the season. So
yeah, no kidding.
I don't think I've ever seen a bigger 360 turnaround than that.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I hope that because I've seen the Orioles. I remember one year I was in college at the All-Star break. One of my roommates was a Red Sox fan. At the All-Star break, the Orioles were up 4 games in first place, and at the end of the season they were 22 games out of first. So hopefully the back half of the season is not as detrimental. But I think they're in a good spot.
And Jim, just for your sake, I hope it's not a 360-degree turnaround because that is a complete circle.
Yes,
As,
yes. But
as it came out of my mouth,
somebody said that. Oh, Ms. and Mrs. I was catching up on some episodes, and Mrs. Wife Marie said that you did a 360, and he goes, "No, I did a 180."
as that came out of my mouth, I was like,
"You just spin around, get dizzy, and you're back in the back where you were before."
I feel like the 360 for Jim might be in July or August or something.
Maybe. Yeah, we did the 180. Now we're just doing the other 180.
it's just a slower rotation this year. It'll get around eventually.
Exactly. It'll get back around. Karma, what goes around and around. Thank you, Boy Meets World.
Yeah, right. Classic. Yeah, and unfortunately, this is not the year, unlike last year, where you could say, hey, you were ahead of the Yankees at one point, and the Yankees never touched first place. So at least you have this instead, which I think you actually like.
I'll take that.
So, yeah, let's hope it keeps going. I do like seeing the Orioles do well, and I love that ballpark so much.
Yeah, always a classic.
Any excuse to go down to Camden Yards, I'm always happy to jump on it. All right, guys, you can find all of us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Amazon Music, and Spreaker. You can see us live on our YouTube channel, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter. You can find the merchandise at redbubble.com/people/DDAB-podcast. Follow us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/dollardogsandbeer. On the Twitter page at DDAB_podcast. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Pyrolord314. Jason's at JRicker300. Joe is at JoltonJoe35. We are presented by Dark Arrow Podcast, LLC, and we are sponsored by the amazing Whiskey and Blade Barbershop in Lidditz. I am definitely due to go back and get a trim. Johnny, I'll be calling you soon. May your dogs always cost $1. May your beer always be cold. Have a good night, everybody.